So they have a super chat thing now on top of the chart. I mean the chat area on YouTube. Hola everyone. Good afternoon. I told you I would come on just to see if you guys wanted to talk about talk about anything. And I like to be what's the word? Responsible. If I say I'm gonna do something, hola on Facebook. Today I just have been resting from my party last night. You know, when you are doing hosting a party and you're by yourself, you don't have a car, so you do put in a little bit of effort because you have to come up with the menu, which is not hard for me. Hola, auntie. And of course, on the menu, you're trying to cook things that people like, things that you know how to cook, and things that will not break the bank. There are a lot of things to take into consideration. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I started off wanting to do what we call Fridays at Maggie's. Um, I did it monthly for maybe 2 or 3 months, and it was like, whoa, that's way too much work. So I decided to move it, space it out a bit and do once every couple of months. And that seems to work for everybody. It's enough time for them to miss it. And when we get back together to, enjoy it. So we do have a separate chat we call Fridays, and it includes SWRA members and non-SWRA members. We have folks who come. There is no membership or anything like that. People just come and have a good time. It was fun. And I like to host. I tell people that is one of my gifts that I get from my mom because we always had food at my house and people, strangers would just come in and get a plate. And that is what I grew up with. My mother modeled that for me. And I just love entertaining, not in a fancy way. See, you're not going to come here and find matching paper plates and accessories and stuff like that. Mm-mm. No, we're not doing that. And forgive me, environmentalists, but we use paper plates and napkins and stuff and silverware, not silverware, plastic. But I don't want to accumulate things as I did over there. Everything matched the teapots and all that. Everything, as you know, when you watch me cook, everything is all mismatched. If I go somewhere and I see something I like, I was like, oh, I like that. Of course, I try to match as much as I can, but I refuse to accumulate, pots and trinkets, the way I did in my past life. We're not doing that. So everything. Hola, Cynthia. Thank you. I do need to match. Well, we don't match, because when we doing the parties, I get a list of items. Of course, I devise the menu, and then I do the cooking most of the time. Yesterday, one sister offered to do the wings, so that was a big help. But I'll have people bring, like yesterday, feta cheese, olives, nuts, ice cream, water, wine. We always have plenty, And I have a sister, my sister Teresa. She knows I love Riesling, so she's always bringing Riesling. Thank you, Terry. Um, so, people participate, and I think that makes it even more fun that they feel like they are contributing to the party. And of course, they love my cooking. And I tell people, even though planning a party, I think yesterday we had about 20 ladies. I think only one person who put in her RSVP didn't show up. But just to see them sitting around, talking to each other, laughing, smiling, dancing. And we always try. I want them to not only enjoy my food, the food that I cook, which they know is cooked with love and with healthy and is healthy, right? You're not gonna find me cooking things that are super unhealthy. It's not gonna happen because leftovers I gotta eat too. Even though I'm gonna tell you what I did earlier with some leftovers. Um, but we want the parties, the gathering, to have something different. You don't just meet to just eat and chit chat, and do nothing else. So what we've been doing trivia, and that seems to be fun. And this time we had a sister who had spent 2 months in Morocco, and she even called me and said, "I'd like to do the trivia this time." And she bought gifts. We had cumin and soaps and nuts and teas, things that are really, we didn't, you could see she put some thoughts into it. And that was really cool. And she is a retired teacher. So she came early, she had her bag, and she was prepared. Okay. Well, I was named the assistant by the factor. And everything was organized. So she was willing and really excited. And you know what? I did not take a picture. And I know she said she didn't want her picture to be online. So that's probably why I didn't take a picture of her. I think she would have wanted, I don't know. People are a little bit confusing about, oh, I went somewhere this week and this sister, we were going to sing happy birthday. And she's like, I don't do videos or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. I respect that. So sometimes I'm not sure because I am on social media. So if we do a good picture, chances are it's going to be on the Facebook page or even on the YouTube. So sometimes I put something on Facebook, but not on YouTube because it gives a wider exposure. And some told me that they're not comfortable. And of course, I got to respect that, right? So we did have trivia about Morocco. The last two times we had trivia, it was about Panama. And some of the sisters were really excited to learn some things about Panama. Like we had a female president, which we don't have in our own place. So I think putting a little element of learning something in a fun way, and I think the gift idea was really neat. Who doesn't like to get a little gift? Everybody wants to have a little gift. So that was fun. And then line dancing, we cannot get away from line dancing because our instructor always shows up with her colorful outfit. And she's going to have a birthday. I think she's going to be 70 something. Listen, let me tell you, the ladies around here, I mean, they don't have a wrinkle on their faces. Everybody is just flourishing. And the air, whether it's the moisture in in the air, people don't look their ages. 68, she's gonna be 70 something. We have a sister who's gonna celebrate her 90th birthday in August. I mean, let me tell you, okay? So, getting out from under the stress, and it's not like we're not aware of what's going on, nor are we insensitive to what some of our sisters are going through right now, the stress of life. But it's not constantly in the back of your mind the way it is, over there. That I tell people, I used to get in my car to go to the store, and the first thing in my mind is like, well, first of all, I may be stopped at any moment for any reason, real or imagined, and any encounter could end with me being whatever. And I'm going to the store to go shopping. You hear about stories, people going down the aisle looking for someone looking like me. That is forever present in the back of my mind. And as we always say, being a person of brown skin, you're never allowed to forget who you are, not for a day, not for a day. But when you move abroad, you get a break. You get a break. And I think that's what a lot of people find. Yes, there are challenges to moving abroad. Like I said before, you're leaving the comfortable. You're leaving what you've known. You're leaving relationships, families, but you're gaining so much just coming from under that pressure. When people talk about cortisol, I tell them one of my theories is that brown skinned people stay in a heightened sense of hyper alertness because you're always expecting the worst. No one should live like that, that you're always looking over your shoulders, expecting something. It keeps you, God designed your body to spew those hormones in a moment of emergency, right? That's why you can run fast, you can lift up a car in an emergency, but then you need to come down to what we call homeostasis. But when you look a certain way and you're living under that constant pressure, it hurts, it causes disease. And I always said, even when I was teaching or when I was in school, to see that minorities have the highest rate of this, I said, listen, my theory is that society causes you to be sick, and then you don't have access, and then you don't get the same treatment, and then you don't get the same medication, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's downhill. So, of course, we're going to be sick, right? So, when we are here and we are able to gather and move our bodies and sing and just love on each other, it's self care, sis. It is a sense of you can breathe. All right. So we don't take it for granted. That's why I tell people when I'm doing the exercise program or whenever I'm just talking to you, I said making a decision to live with gratefulness, right? It's healing for you to say, I am grateful for where I am right now. I am grateful for what I have. I'm not deserving of it, but I am thankful. So you wake up every day and you look up and you say, thank you for another day. Thank you for another moment. So we don't want to waste the moments that we have. And I think, yes, yes, Auntie, you're absolutely right. And so that's why we get together. And I think I just said in the title that we're going to talk about how to build community abroad. You've seen some videos about that. And talking about it from a personal standpoint, hola Wanda, thanks for watching. Thinking about it in our situation here, we know that as older women, as women, we need community. I just posted something I saw. I forwarded it. I don't know if it was on Instagram. See, I'm on Instagram and like that. Most of my activities are on YouTube and Facebook. I just don't need another social media platform to play with and post on. I just don't. So that's why I'm not on Thread. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not going to do any of those. What's the other one? There's another one. But no, I think that's enough, right? Because people my age, we are on YouTube and Facebook. That's like the baby boomers and up. And then you have the millennials and younger ones, so they like Instagram. So my daughter, my kids, they're on Instagram. And the very young, they're like TikTok. I don't know. I don't. So you're not gonna find me on any of those things. But anyway, there was this thing about a group of women. I think they're on a boat and they're having fun, and the person behind it saying, "Oh, you women, you always want to go somewhere, do something, get together." And he said, and then you're gonna say, "We need a moment. It's been a long week, but it's only Tuesday." I thought that was so funny because it's true. Women, we like to gather. And that is a very distinctive difference between men and women. These days, and I know I'm off topic, but the more I look and I hear stories of women and their partners and the stuff going on, it's like, leave these folks alone. Just being single is a blessing, ladies. And I know somebody's going to come after me, the Bible says, or whatever. Sis, I'm old now. I'm old, 68. I'm not looking for anything. And that's why you always say, if I knew then what I know now, would I have made the same decision? I know I would not have, right? So if your life is such and you say, I have no regrets, I'm so happy for you, sis. But a lot of us do have regrets, right? Because this male female relationship, whoo, man, is complicated. It's complicated. We get married sisters who come to our events, and I think when you've been married for like 20, 30 years, I mean, you're like, you know, a lot of the time that's what the relationship is like. He's been around, I've been around, we've learned each other. I don't want to start something else and learn something new. That's my thing. I don't have the energy to, no. But it's just so complicated. And now with everything happening around the world, there's a lot more mental instability in people, and it shows in couples interactions. There is no way at my age I'm going to be walking on eggshells around someone to see, oh my God, what kind of mood is he in today? Oh, can we do this? Asking for permission here. I cannot fathom in my head doing that. So that's why I stay in my lane. I'm right here and I am content. I don't want anything else added to my life. But my friends, yes, we can hang out. We can do all these things. But where I was going with that is that I remember when I moved from New York to Florida, women, we are super social beings. Yes, you can have introverts. Like my friend Crystal yesterday, she's like, "Oh, I like the fact that Maggie has these things because it gets me out of the house because she loves to be at home. I like to be at home too, but I don't mind going here and there. Like tomorrow, we're going to the ballet. This whole weekend, there is a fair at one of those um, convention centers, and the sister was like, "Well, are you going to that?" I'm like, "No, I'm going there." That's the thing here in this retired life. There is so much going on. Somebody's always having a gathering somewhere. So this one is one. And I'm sure some people had to decide, do I go to Maggie's or do I go to this one? Because there is a lot going on. And a lot of it is spearheaded by women because we just like to be together. So when we moved from New York to Florida, like most women, I had a time getting adjusted because women, we are social beings. We like to gather. We like to be with each other. And we need that sisterhood to nurture us to feel like we're connected. Guys, I mean, I'm not an expert on men, but they have an easier time. And I've seen it over and over again. No, I'm not in El Congrejo, Cynthia. I am on Avenida de Balboa. I hear you. I mean, seriously, in this age, and I think if I were older, like I said, knowing what I know now, so I have to give myself, my younger self, I have to be, what do they call that? I have to forgive my younger self because I didn't know, I didn't see, right? And even, somebody had spoken to me, I probably wouldn't have listened. You see your kids, do they listen to what you tell them? Of course not. But we kind of learn the hard way, right? But I think the challenge is when you do have the aha moment and your eyes are open, then there are other things that keep you in certain relationships, right? Financial, children. I was talking to someone there, I'm like, religion, when They putting the fire and brimstone over you, telling you going to hell if you do this, if you do that. That's a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. But the women, when we moved, where I was in the state where I lived, there were multiple women who had moved from other places, and we were all commiserating. You know, the cultural shifts, the differences in perception, how they viewed us, and all that. And the men were out golfing and having a grand time because a man, and I'm not an expert again, they relate a lot with their job. Their whole persona is tied with Mr. the accountant, Mr. the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Well, women, we elevate above that because we realize that the job is not all. We just need our sisters. So here, there's a lot of women's group. One sister said, well, she's the one who brought the upside down pineapple cake that always throws me off my plan. Oh, it's not Janine. What is her name? Sandra. Sandra, you did it to me again. That little piece of cake, I could not throw it away. No, I had it. So I'll go to confession. But we gather. It is a need for us. And you can't change your DNA. That's just the way we are. So, building community, I believe, for women, there are so many of us here now in Panama and in Thailand and in Colombia. I was watching a video yesterday, it's a short, of a sister in Costa Rica saying that since 2019, she said, or during COVID 2020, she said there have been about 6,000 African American women and their families who have moved to Costa Rica. Every time there's a shift, then you see migration, right? And we've seen the migration from 2016 all the way up to here. People are just looking for relief. That's all it is. That's all I'm going to say about it, right? We're just trying to be able to just say, can we just have a day where we can just be ourselves without feeling that our life is threatened, that we're in danger? I think that's why a lot of people are moving abroad. And I keep saying, when you look at somebody who's in their 70s, like I get sisters calling me now saying, I'm 76. That is a scary proposition for somebody in that age group where you have less years in front of you than behind you to just up and go into the unknown. People just cannot appreciate the scale of the decision, of the reasons behind you making that decision, because you don't know what's waiting for you. All right. So yes, there's the sun, there's good food, fruits, and nice people, but you aging and thinking, stroke, heart attack, a fall, cancer, you name it, that can happen to you as you age, as a normal. That doesn't mean you're going to have any of those things. But I'm saying your risks of those things happening in your life go up as you age. Like a car, the part starts to fall off. And I don't need anybody arguing with me. Well, I'm 92 and I'm healthy. Bravo. But you're not the norm. You're the exception at that age. And the rest of us are going to deal with all the stuff that happens to an aging body. All right. So for you to be away from what you've known, because you know what they say, I was telling someone, I don't know if I told anybody, I think I've mentioned it somewhere. There was a lady whose children, adult children, you see, I must have been having bread since yesterday. My fingers are a little swollen. And that's how I gauge myself with the rings, how they feel on my fingers. Listen, you got to pay attention. That's why I just threw away the rest of the, what did I have yesterday? The two thing of French bread, I mean, crostinis. So we had some left, so I was snacking on them today, and then I'm like, okay, Mike, you got to stop. So I just put them in the trash. That's what you do. For me, if something is around, I'm gonna snack on it. But if I throw it away, then I'm good. We are brought up to be the caregivers, and everybody gets to care about us. Now it's our turn. Yes, that's the way a lot of us think about it. But it's still difficult, isn't it? And for some of you, it was like, I'm just going to up and go. But I don't know. Some of us struggle with the decision. The fear of the unknown enough is enough to kind of hold you down. It doesn't mean like you're not going to come to the decision. It doesn't mean that you're not going to go, but you're going to grieve the process, right? So I mean, you can be true to yourself and say that. Um, Please comment on the prostitution problem in Panama City, Panama, and how safe is that for expats in Panama City? I've never had a problem with it. And I don't know, it doesn't matter where you are. Trying to see who's watching. Somebody else is watching. I don't know where you are, but you're kind of aware of it. You see the ladies hanging around some corners, right? The first, where I live, 2 block west of me, I see them around the corners. And the first time I saw it, I saw this lady standing there, and then there were a couple of cops just milling around, and everything was cool. So I'm like, oh, it must be okay. And then I went and did some research, and they said it is, and I said that in one of my videos that it is legal, and a local said, well, it's not legal. I said, well, they're not being arrested or anything for doing it. So he said it's not illegal. I guess they don't police it, but it's not illegal, right? Apparently, they can have some kind of card, like as a profession, or I don't know if there is, and I haven't looked into it that deeply. So please, anybody who knows better can chime in. But in some countries, they are mandated to be tested regularly to make sure we're not spreading stuff. So I don't know if they go that far, but I know they're hanging around the corners. And I am told that there are specific spots or hotels in certain parts of the city that they they are known for that kind of activity. That's what I'm gonna say about it, right? And it's usually, women, 20s and up. I've seen a couple of males, early in the morning with in all their garb. And of course, I'm not out there late at night. I have heard in El Congrejo, I think I mentioned it in one video, and an older male chimed in saying that he was approached by someone in an area that is very well known in the city. So I guess if you're looking for that kind of business, you'll do your research and you'll find out, right? And I don't know if you know, also in Panama, we were talking about that the other day. They have, what do they call that? Push buttons. They have some, okay, this one was news to me. I remember I was traveling 3 years ago with a sister, and then she pointed a building in on the road. There's a main road, and there was a sign. It didn't say push button. I think it's push button. Let me just see if I'm saying it right. The sign was just just a name, and push button hotels. It says here. Let me give you the definition according to, I guess it's Chad. In Panama, a push button hotel, locally known as a push, is a discreet, hourly love motel designed for privacy. You drive your car into a private individual garage, push a button to close the roller door, pay anonymously with your credit card through a small slot in the wall, and stay for a set block of time, usually 2 to 4 hours. Now, the push button hotel, when she told me what it was, and I'm like, oh, there is nobody manning the gate. It's all automatic. I guess they give you a code, like if you're going into a gated community to get in, and you put your card. I guess you can buy 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. But what I am told is not for prostitution. It's usually for couples who want some privacy, because in the Latin American culture, I read about the same thing in Mexico. In Latin American culture, because you have extended families, living together. So if you had a young couple or a married couple, it might be a bit inconvenient when you have a lot of people around. So that might be, an option. I don't know, even though that feels kind of weird to me. I think I'd go to a regular hotel, go to a regular hotel and have like a staycation. I would do that instead. But apparently, this is something that is very um, normal in these parts of the world, and they are here in Panama. Now, would that tie in with prostitution? I don't know. As I said, I don't know enough about it, but I know it is present in the city. And I would think outside the city. The first time I saw a building like that was in David. I was in David, in the western part of the country. So they probably are all over the place. And the other day I was on a bus and I saw several ones on that main road. So, yep. So, yes, it's here. And if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. And I mean, I look at documentaries anywhere in Latin America and even in Europe. So that, it's a business, it's a profession. And a lot of young, what I learned also, and I'm not going to mention the countries, but they say there are some young women who are in university or whatever, and that is something that they consider to pay tuition, make their lives a little easier. And of course, you're going to have the customers who fly in from all over the place and have money. And don't get me started with the human trafficking of young girls. You see them in those videos. It's insane. Now, that part gets me really, really sick. When you're trying to get young, I mean, if somebody is like 20 plus and they want to engage in that for whatever reason, I'm not blaming anybody. That's different. But when you targeting younger kids, nah, that's where I have a problem with it, because then it's not prostitution. It is human trafficking and it is child whatever. Anyway, the world is a sick place. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? And sometimes it's the parents who can afford something, selling their kids to those people, and it's everywhere. You hear them in Asia. They're catching these nasty men, older men. They're in Africa. I mean, it's everywhere, sadly. So we can't escape anything. Panama is not immune to any of those things. Child pornography, the other day they caught a teacher. Child trafficking, yes, we have those here too. A lot of domestic violence, femicide, women being killed, we got that here too. So whatever you think of it, the drugs, yes, we have all that here. Okay. So you try to live your life, stay on the right side of the law, because in a lot of those, um, what's the word? In those communities or those things, people know those things and they move in those circles. If you don't, then you have a lower risk of getting caught up in it, right? So keep your nose clean. obey the law, know the rules, be aware, and just don't get involved in that stuff, and you'll be okay. Um, Please comment. I did that. Okay. No, it's a hard decision. Yes. Hola, Maggie. I have work fatigue at 62. I understand. And trying to get abroad too. Well, since I was 62 when I decided to quit, I was in my car. I was caught up in a, um, in a dead, traffic stop. And then I made a decision right there. I said, okay, I'm done. So it's not easy, but just look at all your options, sis. And then one big decision for me that made the decision a bit easier, it was I was willing to embrace a simpler lifestyle and not having expectations that I'm gonna have all the stuff I was used to. I was okay with living with less. I think that's one of the hard decisions you have to make also. Yes, the oldest profession. And every time I pass, sometimes I'm going to the metro and I see them, and they're not there at night. I see those ladies there in daytime in the corner. Yeah. And sometimes a taxi just pulls up and one gets in it, and they're always on their phone. But I'll tell you, there is one little block before I get to the metro that I pass by, and there is always one or two people in their cars. The car is parked, but the motor is running. So every time I'm going down, if I see a big old, what do they call those? Like a truck. What do they call those? Yeah, like a van, and I'll see a van, and I hear the motor running. I cross. I'm like, I don't know if it's the pimp in there keeping an eye on them. And I'm like, at my age, with my gray, I said, I don't, because I was going to snatch you and throw you into that van. So I usually cross over. And I think I said that one time. I said, no, they wouldn't want me. They didn't see the gray hair. And somebody said, oh, no, sis, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, no bueno. Whew, God have mercy. Do you know anything about relocating with pets? Oh, sis, people relocate with pets all the time. I did a recent video about relocating with pets with my friend Crystal. She relocated with two long haired chihuahuas, and she walked us through the process. She found a pet relocation service close to her area. She's in Tampa, and then you talk to them and they walk you through the process. And I think the hardest thing for people moving to any country with pets is the requirement from the country in terms of shots and the health of the animal. The weight of the animal matters with the airplane, right? But if you have a pet relocation, they're going to walk you through the timeliness of your paperwork, and it's seamless. Some people have done it on their own, right? But if you have so much to deal with, and if you can pay someone to take that off your hand, oh yeah, all the time. And then we have some pet relocations here. I did another pet relocation video maybe 2 years ago with I forgot the name of the company, but the owner's name is Paula. And she says she's relocated all kinds of pets, including snakes and birds and all that. So people are very, and I do have a couple of companies on my in my resource list that if you want me to give you those two, you could talk to them. They also are here because I think once you land with them, then they have to take him to a certain place where they check paperwork, make sure everything is, hunky dory, and then the company also is going to take that pet and take him to you. But I understand there's a 40-day quarantine of the pets once you bring him from another place, and you have to keep the pet inside. You can take them out, so they can do their business, but they're not allowed to be around other pets. That's how they control, any infestation, disease, or anything like that. And of course, you got to get all your list of the shots that the pet, the dog or cat should have had. And remember, people love dogs here in Panama, cats not so much. But I remember working with some Mexican families. They're also like parrots and birds. But Panama, mostly what I've seen are dogs, all kinds of dogs. A me and Mrs. Jones situation. We have human trafficking everywhere in the US. Yes, I live in a semi-rural area of North. It's terrible. You know what we are seeing here is that they have implemented a Amber Alert system, like it's pattern after the one in the US. And it's like every so often they would say this 12-year-old's missing, this 14-year-old's missing, 15-year-old's missing, like they're missing over there too. And in Canada, they have a lot of indigenous girls who are disappearing. Whew, just too much evil in this world. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. And I think my soul is tired of all the mess. Tired. You know how in Florida where I live, there's a sheriff. He loves to just round them up. And when he round these respectable men, pastors, coaches, and all involved in child pornography, it's just like, why? Why? I don't get it. The girls are missing here too. Sometimes they find them in Guatemala or someplace, and it could be sex trafficking or just plain human trafficking. They sell them. They sell them as domestic workers or as sex slaves or all kinds of mess. All kinds of mess. Human beings are the most vile things on earth for the things that they do. I cannot understand it. And sometimes it's the parents themselves who are pimping their children. Explain that to me. You carry a baby as a mom, and then you allow some. I don't get it. I do not get it. And I get so worked up when I think about it. I do. When I look at a little girl, we have schools here. You see all the little girls. Now in Panama, this week, they're talking about bullying. They're having a terrific problem in bullying because you got these kids with these phones, they're online, and apparently it's the thing to do to harass other kids. And they talk about the mental health, the suicides, it's everywhere. So you look at a cute little girl in her uniform, and I'm like, the other day they arrested this guy who was doing it to his own daughters, two daughters. They had a 9-year-old girl the other day they found. She was pregnant from some family member messing with her. I mean, it's just sick. So how do you do these things? How do you do these things? So the little girl, I look at him every time I see them in the streets, and I'm like, I wonder if she's safe. A young girl can't be safe from her own father. Brothers, cousins, neighbors, pastors, youth pastors, choir director. Damn. Lord Jesus, help me. I need help myself to deal with the reality of all this. That's why I cook. Oh my God. Never seen them. Where did you see that? What are you talking about? Carol. When you see never seen who? SUV. Oh, thank you. Oh, you mean no, the van. I said the van. When I see the van parked and the motor is running, yes, I cross the street. I go to the other side just in case. It's not just somebody going into my backpack getting my wallet. I don't want to be snatched. Just because I'm old doesn't mean I'm immune to being trafficked. I could be trafficked as a sex slave, or I could be trafficked as a housekeeper, somewhere. It's and it's Money that drives all that. Not only the depravity, but money, 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 money. They sell these girls for money. You see those movies where people are selling little babies. Same thing. The same thing. And the boys are not immune either. That's sickening. So sick. Whew. The traffic can be so chaotic in Panama City. Do you have a car? No, I do not. Or are you using public transit? Yes, I use public transit all the time and it's great. And we have Uber here, and you have taxis. Although I don't recommend the taxis for a single older woman, but you can. People say, "Oh yeah, we only use it here, there." Yeah, that doesn't mean you're going to be unsafe all the time, but things have happened with those taxis. So you're much safer. Doesn't mean you safest. Nothing's going to happen, but you're much safer taking an Uber. Okay. But I have two Metro cards. I love the Metro. But unfortunately, the metro is not throughout every area in the city. Like San Francisco doesn't have metro access. Lots of buses. Costa del Este doesn't have metro because they're kind of higher end. They have their cars. The traffic can be horrendous. But the sister that I know, I only know one sister, well, two, who drive. They don't mind. They love it. I don't. Every time I tell people when I go shopping, especially when I'm cooking, and I said, I have to get here, so I have to kind of gauge how much I can carry, or sometimes I'll go and then I take a Uber back home. Sometimes I think about a car, how it would be more convenient, and then I think about the traffic, and I think about, hey Greta, my friend, hola, ¿cómo estás? Um, I'm like, nah, they say the insurance is not bad, but the traffic. And people say you get into a car accident and you're going to go to court with that, you're not going to win at all. So I don't want to. Oh, mine are 45 pounds. What are you talking about, Dana? Oh, you mean your dogs? Yes. If your pets are 45 pounds, again, talk to the pet relocation company. Now, my friend whose chihuahuas, they're not big, they were able to stay in cabin. One, you can only have one with you. So what she did, she had her niece come with her. So the niece had one of the pet carrier under the seat, or did she pay for them? I don't remember. But you can only have one, and then her niece had the other one. But if they're a certain weight, I think then they have to go in cargo, and you may not want them to be in cargo. I even heard of a company that will fly them for you, but okay, so those are decisions. And another option, we have people who love to be in the woods and they have like 8 dogs or whatever. Some people drive to Panama because of their pets. And Jackie in Boquete had a program. There is a company out of Mexico that will drive your pet to you. So you have options. Yeah. Men need hormone control. I don't know what they need. I'm not interested to address their issues right now. I look nice today. Oh, thank you. I think my face is swollen a little bit, like my finger. I think I've been, when I cook, I taste a lot. So I had quinoa, even though quinoa is a good grain, but it is carbs, and carbs make me swell. So my eyes are a little swollen. I've been kind of tasting the crostinis. Like I said, I just dumped the rest of it in the trash because that is bread, and bread and I just don't agree at all. Hola Maggie in chat. Hola Greta, ¿cómo estás? Good afternoon. Carpe diem. Oh, that's a nice name. I will definitely look into that service. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to talk about community, and I always preface that by saying no man is an island. And I explained to you earlier that I think women as a whole, you may have some exceptions, we have a need to connect with other women, right? And I'm not one of those, I was thinking about that this week. I said, I'll go to an event, but there's only so much chit chat I can do. I'm not really good at small talk just for hours on end. I can't do it. It's like after about an hour or two, I'm kind of spent. I've said everything I needed to say. It's time for me to go. So when you invite me to a party, chances are I'm going to be one of the first ones to leave. Happens every time. I used to hang out with a sister. She said, "Oh, and I'm the last one to leave." I'm like, "More power to you." Well, I can't. I can't. I understand the need to connect with my sisters either electronically, can have a coffee, spend an hour. How you doing? Just connecting, but it's not gonna be like a 3, 4 hour thing. Mm-mm, mm-mm. And you're not gonna have me on the phone. I can talk to my daughter for an hour, yes, right? And even when the silence goes, she goes silent, it's like, "How you still there?" That's my way of connecting with her. But I'm not going to be talking to a sister for an hour, 2 hours. And I always tell people, you start talking to any other woman for that long, you're going to slide into the gossip aisle. I just don't do that. Once you start talking, "Well, did you hear that about sister so and so?" Like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Well, you know what? I gotta go, sis. I got this and this and that. I am not gonna engage in about another sister." Mm-mm. So if you got something to say, let's just talk about it. But we don't need to be going on and on and on and on and on. No. But the need to connect is real, right? Because we gain energy from each other. We need that sense of connection. And that's why this guy said in this thing is like, "Well, you all need to go somewhere, do this, do that." You say you need a break. It's only Tuesday. But we just like to hang out, right? And if you're in a nice setting, let's say you go to the beach with a group, maybe you can have your own alone time. Just admire. Like, this is how I go to the beach. I love to just be on the side and looking at the water, not necessarily being on the water. Because I don't like waves. I don't like all that movement, right? But I can admire the aesthetic. Yes. So once you know yourself, and I am um, I'm a firstborn, and I am an introvert, right? I love my own company. I love spending time at home, like my friend Crystal said, but I understand the need to get out and touch people. So we recommend that you start building community from where you are. Even, I had people saying, "We're planning to retire in 2028." And I'm like, wow, that's kind of a way out. If you start making trying to build community that far ahead, I don't know, it's kind of going to pale and people are going to lose interest, right? But if you're about 6 months out, yes, by all means, reach out to me or whoever whose video you watch, because I'll tell you, when you send me a message, I'm more likely to answer you. And I know some people will not, because I have reached out to some people and they don't respond. So sometimes it's not that they don't want to respond. Maybe they're getting so many contacts. And I was telling a sister this week, I said, sometimes someone send me a message and I see it flash across my screen. I'm like, "Oh, I'll get back to them." My problem is I have 3 email addresses. I have 2 Facebook pages, and I have YouTube. Oh, I'm more than one YouTube. So when somebody sends you a message on any of those platforms, if I see it scroll, I don't know exactly from where the message came from. So what I should do is address it right away. Because when I put it to the side and I said I'll get back to it, and I'm like, "Oh, I need to get back to so and so," then I can't remember where. So I'll go to all the email addresses, and I'll go to the Facebook pages, to go to the PM to see, oh, it's work. So if somebody doesn't respond to you, please understand that it could be something like that. But if you're 6 months out of relocating while you're doing your research, yes, connect to people, with people as much as you can. Send a private message, say hello, join the Facebook groups. Now, chances are with the WhatsApp groups, at least for us, we want you to be in country because the things that you're going to see on the WhatsApp group are going to be things that are happening locally, right? So if you're in New York and you hear, and I'm talking about the news here, what's happening, you're not that affected yet, right? Unless it's just need to know information. So the WhatsApp group, they might say, are you, how far are you, how close are you to coming, that kind of thing. But the Facebook groups, definitely, you want to start connecting. And just to me, when I was watching those Facebook groups, it was like I love to read the comments and people asking a question and multiple people answer, and I take notes. And you can gain so much information. And I'm always so amazed as to how many people would answer a question that is posed in there, right? Because a lot of time they'll ask the same question, and I'm like, next, I'm going. I don't usually respond, but I read the comments and I learn from that. So that's a good way to connect. And then you may reach out to maybe a few sisters and say, hey, where do you live? I'm coming in. What do you like about your area? You getting information, right? And then when you land, try to reach out and see if they can have coffee. And in that way, you could say, I have a contact that if, hey, Denise, long time no see. She was here last night. But just reach out and don't get your feelings hurt if they don't respond. Yeah, I got my feelings hurt when one of them did not really want to connect. But it's like, next, that's the good thing about social media and this type of thing. There are so many other people. So if you don't get a response from one person, go on to the next. Don't get your feelings hurt. Thank you. The haircut, yeah, you see, look at that gray up here. I'm getting ready to um, color it. Yeah, chitty chatting, I can do that. Maggie, what hotels do you recommend in Ciudad de Panama? It depends on your budget, sis. I have recommended the Marriott Courtyard next to Multiplaza Mall. Somebody said, oh, they're a little bit. Gracias, amiga. They said it's a little pricey. There's also a Marriott next to Albrook Mall. They say they're a little pricey. I don't know. It depends on how many days you're in town. And if somebody is charging 125, kind of it adds up. There is the RIU hotel that's very popular on Haye 50, 58th Street, right in the middle of downtown. It's a very popular place, and apparently they have a terrific breakfast there, and you're in the middle of everything, right? So that's one. But then you have some outlier hotels that are like mid-range, like they say they have a Holiday Inn, they have a Hyatt, and then you go to El Congrejo, they have Hotel Principe, they have Torres de Alba. I mean, it depends on Love Rio. Somebody said they love the Rio. So, and I think you can go eat there too, right? So it depends on your budget, right? But what I would tell you, if you see a hotel that is saying they have a special for $39 a night, you probably don't want to go to that hotel. I've had people come here because they found a good deal, and then once I just got into the hotel, they had to say, "Oh, I need to find another place to stay because there is mold, there is this, and I don't feel safe." It's like, okay, I had a sister who ended up in Cologne. First visit, she's never been to Cologne, and that's where she booked a hotel. I don't know if it was a deal or not. And she's like, "Oh, I need to get out of here ASAP." You know what? I found a lot of women, they want to save a few bucks. And then you could tell them something, but they'll do something else. But then they'll call you to try to rescue them. I don't do that because you need to be able to take advice from somebody who is right here. So if somebody tells you to go to like an area like Cinco de Mayo and book a hotel there, I would tell you don't do it as a single person. If you're young and you're in a group, maybe, safety, be safety minded. Don't for $5 a night put your life in danger. Don't do that, right? So look for the mid-size. And then you might send a message in the private in the Facebook group saying, "Oh, I'm looking at hotel so and so. Does anybody have any recommendation? What do you think of it?" And when they tell you, listen. Some people are good like that. They ask for advice and then they go do something else. Why ask me in the first place? Don't. We're grown. We're not children. Okay? I'm getting irritated right just thinking about it. Because they do that. Ugh. I love the way that you connect through food and exercise. Oh, thank you. And sis, this is part of my self-care, right? I tell people, I don't cuss, I don't smoke, I have a glass of white wine once in a while, I cook. Because to me, that is my way of relieving my stress. So I do things that make me feel good. And especially when I put on somebody that I like to listen to, I'm in the zone. Okay. Now, when I'm cooking on YouTube, I can't because I'm going to be accused of copyright violations if I'm listening to my favorite artist on my computer and it's blaring. No, you can't do that. Yeah. Anyway, uh, yes, please don't be bothered. Just send it again. And on the YouTube page is my WhatsApp. Listen good. In Panama, WhatsApp is the primary mode of contact. So many people are saying, even for the REU, they're like, "Oh, does anybody have a contact for the REU? I keep sending email and no one's picking up the phone." That's a very common thing that's reported. Send a WhatsApp message. If you're looking at an apartment, send a WhatsApp message. That's what they respond to the most, and that's the one I respond to the most. My phone is always with me. I'm always looking at the WhatsApp. So as I said, if you send me a private message to one of the Facebook pages, I may see it, I may not. As I said, when I go back to find it, I get lost, not remembering where I sent the message. But I only have one WhatsApp number. So if you send me, hola Mitia, if you send me a WhatsApp message, chances are I will get back to you. Because I'm always scrolling back to make sure I respond to anything. Because we have several WhatsApp groups and I don't want anybody to feel like I'm ignoring them. Okay? Yeah, just try again. Thank you, Copedium. I don't think you're retired. You are still hustling. But in a good way, sis, right? Because that's why I don't like the word retired, because to me, retired means I'm not working for a paycheck from someone else. Anything else I do has nothing to do with being retired. It's because I want to do it. If you do work that you love and that you want to do, it's not work. Remember, you've heard that. Do something that you love to do and you won't work a day in your life. That's what I tell my kids. I say, what do you like to do? Do the assessment. They have some personality assessments that they do for college students. And they say, based on your personality profile, you should consider those career choices, right? Because if you are butterfly, you never met a stranger and you're very social, you don't want to go in a job where you're going to be looking at a computer. It's going to drive you nuts. So you need to do work that gives you pleasure. And when you reach tired, you're not working for anybody else, that should be your focus. Do things that bring you joy, and that's what cooking does for me. And exercise, I tell people I don't necessarily like to work out, but I know it's good for me. And I love the fact that I am committed to showing up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because I know somebody is expecting me to show up. It keeps me accountable and it's good for me because sometimes I don't go to the gym. It's just that's it. So it's good for me. All right. Calle 50, yes. Calle 50, that's where RIU is. RIU Hotel. Very popular. 120 and under. Anyone here have favorite Panama hotels? Well, again, I just told you some, but again, I need to do some doctor appointments and I want the hotel nearby. Well, if you know where your doctor is, right? You could say, if you're doing Airbnb or hotel, you're going to say, hotels near, and then put the doctor's address, and they will populate. Okay, and people do the same thing when they have attorney appointments. Yeah, I tell them you don't want to have your attorney on close to Calle 50, and then you book a hotel in Cologne. It takes you, first of all, you're going to pay a bunch of money for Uber to bring you to the city, and then you don't account for this traffic. Sometimes you get stuck. What if it rains and in the roads? That's not safe. So you want to be close. You live in Ireland? Wow. Oh, your daughter lives in Ireland. Okay. Well, WhatsApp works all around the world. It works beautifully when I was in South Africa and in Rwanda, as long as you have Wi Fi. Love that mantra. Okay. I don't remember what it was. You are the ultimate hostess. Oh, love the gathering yesterday. Sharon from Florida. Oh, Sharon. Sharon. Oh, from Lakeland? Is that you, Sharon? It was funny though, because I have a sister here who was who was in at the party yesterday. Oh wow, yes. And then one of my friend Crystal, who we met in church like over 25 years ago. And then it turns out one of the sisters came with another invitee and then found out she was born in that town. And I tell people the world gets smaller every day. I remember being on a cruise, and you know how they sit you at a table, and then every night you sit with the same people for dinner. And I was sitting next to these older ladies, and of course, you start talking, make conversation, and then she's talking about her doctor. And I'm like, Dr. So and so, I'm like, where do you live? And she said the town, and I'm like, wow, that's my doctor. That was the doctor's mom sitting next to me. And I'm like, wow. And that happens all the time. Yes. Uh, Hola, Sharon. Did you go back home or are you still here? I love your level of commitment and consistency. Well, thank you, Auntie. Well, as I said, let's go back to the topic of building community, how important it is. And I think as a human being, as you've grown and you matured, commitment should be something that you have developed. Like I was looking at the list of the invitee. There's a sister who has RSVP twice already, but she hasn't shown up, and then she hasn't, sent a regret. Well, I'm from the Northeast. We're sticklers about RSVPing and showing up on time, the fashionably late kind of thing. But when you are, thinking of your sisters, and of course, I tell people the same sisters you dealt with over there, they're here. So they come with all their quirks, and you're not here to change anybody, right? And you can choose to hang out with whoever you want to hang out with. So again, when you're trying to reach out when you first get here, right? You get your list. Let's say you got 5 sisters you've been communicating online with, and you keep them up to date about when you're gonna come. And then after you come, you say, "I'm here. Let's pick a day. One day we can have coffee." Just understand that everybody has their own life, and they may or may not want to hang out with you. And if they say, they kind of give you the cold shoulder, which is what happened to me. I said to that sister, I said, "I'm here. I'm so glad there's somebody that I know. Can we have lunch?" She's like, "No, I'm doing this and this and that." So I think I tried again in a few weeks. She blew me off again. And I was like, okay, I got the message. Next, you move on, right? Don't hold people down. Some people don't want to hang out with you. Maybe they don't like you. You can't expect everybody to like you, right? And if somebody shows you they don't like you, they say, take them at their word and then move on to the next one. You go to a gathering, you need to go to gathering when you first come, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm kind of new here. I'm just trying to make contact." And some people will bring you in the fold, some people will be standoffish. And if they're standoffish, you move to the next group and you go to chat to them, we are all free, right? So, but it takes a little bit of effort when you first come to create community. You know my story. When I came back from South Africa, I knew one person. The other person that I knew, she's the one who blew me off. And I'm like, I'm here by myself. I have got to find some ladies to hang out with. I need community. What if the what ifs are gonna be the thing that pushes you out of your comfort zone so you can meet people, gauge them, right? You're going to assess them. Do they want to hang out with you? Do they think the way you think? Are they also looking to connect? Are they looking for community? If they're not, move on. Move on. So that's gonna take the work. And that's why we created SWA. It's like, okay, let's have a kumbaya. We're here alone. We don't have family. How about if we decide to build our own little circle? That's how you start. And then the people you start with, they have other commitments. We have sisters who are part of multiple groups. But if they want to be part of this group, that's one more group. I'm okay with that. I am not part of so many groups, right? That's because I have enough to keep me busy and I feel like I'm supported enough. I don't need to be going here like a little butterfly. I know people like that. They want to be seen at every event. I don't care for that. So know thyself. You need to create community, but don't change who you are just because you are, you know what I'm saying? Everything has a balance, right? You want to hang out with people that you got something in common with. There are some women, woo, 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 woo. See, I run for that. I run for the hills. I can't listen to somebody constantly in my ear. That's just me. And I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go. But if we can have meaningful conversation, because sometimes I'm talking to a sister and I said, wow, I think we're connecting. We are thinking along the same line. And you try to go a little deeper, can we have coffee or whatever? And they pull back. It's like, shoot, next. Such as life says. So it takes work. It's not from Lakeland. Yes. Oh my God. Ask chat. Yes. Chat will give you a hotel list close to where you want to go. But give them the price range too. And again, whatever chat says, usually you got to get it from the hotel. Okay. Me, when I'm going anywhere, I have been very lucky with booking.com. That's where I go to book my lodging and it works every time. I've never had a problem with them. Okay. Oh, you're still here, Sharon. Okay. Maggie, thank you so much for your insight. You're welcome, Cynthia. You have to go. Have a good afternoon, sis. Oh, you're leaving on Wednesday. Okay. Yeah. I found that the expat communities are easy to navigate. Well, like anything, I don't think I'm saying anything out of order to say that sometimes you might feel like there are some clicks, okay? And I don't say it as a critic. I'm saying there are some groups that um what's the word? They mold, they converge, and they're really tight. And sometimes it's not easy for you to break in. Does that make any sense? I remember when I first landed here, I had been following this group, this local group. And I've heard, you know how when somebody just becomes a member, everybody's saying, welcome, welcome. Yes, that was very nice. And they had a gathering, and I landed, I think I landed on the day of the meeting. I booked into my Airbnb, called the Uber. I was still in my still travel clothes. I didn't look bad, no. And then I went to the venue. It was in Casco Viejo. I'll never, the old city. And I got there. The place was packed with women like me. I'm like, wow, this is so good. The music, the wine was flowing. I'm like, great. But of course, I don't know anybody there. So I made a beeline for the person who I knew was in charge. And I saw her there, and I'm making my way. Hello, hello, I'm Maggie. Hello. And then she saw me come, and she kind of looked at me up and down as I was coming towards her. She realized I was new as well. And I'm like, hey, how are you? I'm Maggie. And then you know how when people touch your hands like that with the tip of your fingers, that's usually a sign that they really don't get that close to you. If I'm giving you a handshake, that's a handshake. But when you grab my fingers like that, either you feel disgusted or you just not. But when she gave me the up and down, that was it for me. I read body language. And if you don't, you need to learn. That's why you observe. And she was so standoffish. It was not a welcoming handshake. She didn't say anything else to me. It was like almost like, how do you know me? You know me? I'm like, okay. I don't want to be with someone like that. I stayed in the group for a little bit, and then I'm still a member, but I don't engage. And I don't ever want that to happen. Swap. That's why we are really big on showing love and appreciation. When we get together, we hug. When we have our meeting, I make a point to hug everybody who is sitting in that room. I'm very big on that, right? There was a sister who had a little something, and I remember going to hug her. I mean, she was stiff. And then when I talked to her, the sister, she's like, she's saying this, and I'm like, well, she can come to me, but there's no way, you're stiff because somebody's giving you a hug. Come on, ladies. Don't make it difficult for someone to become your friend. Don't make it difficult for someone to show you love. Because in this temporada, in this season of life, you need genuine love. You need people who care for you. People you can pick up the phone and say, sis, I'm not feeling real good. Sis, can you help me with that? That's what sisterhood is. Not the way I look, the way I dress, whether you like my food or not, whether you don't like the way I decorate my house. There are too many people to choose from. Now, you can have friends in your community and you can have acquaintances. You have to understand the difference. There are some people, hey, how are you? Those are your acquaintance, right? But somebody who's going to take a cup of coffee with you, who's genuinely concerned about you and say, sis, call me if you need this and that. Those are the people you want in your corner. So as you build community, understand you can have your circle and you can have the wider circle of people that you know. You can ask a question of. You can meet in social circle and just say, hey, how you doing? Everything good? That's the small talk chit chat that just drives me absolutely crazy. After I said the 2 sentences, I'm done. But if you, my friend, we have a lot to talk about, right? Whatever is bothering you, your family, anything you're struggling with, that's the connecting piece, okay? So don't waste your time. Don't be bitter because it didn't work out with this sister. I know I have had several sisters. I'm like, oh, I think we can connect. And then when I try to get deeper, they just went like this. I'm like, oh, okay, next. We're grown, sis. We are grown, okay? Yes. So I never forgotten that. And then to this day, this lady is the same. And then something else happened to her because of that same attitude. I'm not going to get into it, but karma is a bee. You know that, right? Sometimes it works. That's why I try to be nice to people. I don't ever want people to say, oh, I saw that coming for this Maggie. I saw that. Of course, you're going to have some people who hate your gut just because you're trying to be a good human. You're not going to be, you're not going to get rid of that because remember, the world is cray cray and there are a lot of disgusting people around. Yes. They hate for no reason. Whew, I just don't have the time. I just kind of, yeah. You think this about me? Okay. It's your opinions, got nothing to do with me. I'm living my life. I don't worry about stuff like that. Yes, free tired, Carol. That's I think Modiwa would love to say that. A chat, ask chat. Yes, okay. Um, you find the expat communities are easy to navigate. That's good. That's good. But if you try to get deeper, you may find some issues with some of them. Yeah, you'll find your tribe. Just relax and don't expect every group to kind of take you into the fold. That's why I tell people, SWRA, our group, it's not for everybody. You have to understand that we want a deeper level of commitment and connection. If you just want to just say, hey, well, you could say, hey, from over there. Yes, seriously. Seriously. Are you going to be a sister? If I need something, I'll feel comfortable calling you. That's what I want. That's what I want. Uh, I want to speak Spanish. I don't want to speak English all the time. It was funny. Yesterday we had our little gathering here, and one sister, somebody talked to her, and she responded in Spanish, and then she said, "Oh, you don't speak English?" That was so funny. And she said, "No, my instructors and I need to practice my Spanish." That was so funny. But I mean, hey, she was doing what she was told. But yes, learning the language is important, definitely. You could do the apps, and I keep looking at these AI robots saying, "You can practice with me." And then sometimes the robot will say something, and I'm like, "That's not right. That's not how you say it." I'm like, "This is crazy, Maggie. You're arguing with the robot." Oh, yes. I pivoted so quick, sis. But this lady, she had some issues. And now, sometimes because I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, right? And I'm very intuitive into people's stories, and I can look in your eyes sometime, and I can read some stuff. And I think this particular sister is battling something psychological, and every time I look in her eye, and I'm like, right? But I'm not close to her, and I'm not in a position to intervene, right? But you have to understand that not everybody who moves abroad is having the best time. Some people are still dealing with the stuff that they were dealing with over there, right? The anxiety, the depression, it might get a little better, but moving abroad doesn't necessarily cure you. You still have to maintain whatever therapy, medication that they might take you off unless you're under the care of a doctor. The doctor says, no, I think your blood pressure is good. You don't need that medication, but you still need to be vigilant. Okay. So some people are struggling. Some people are still here struggling with things that happened to them in their childhood, interpersonal relationship with family members. Some family members, like especially if you say you're leaving and they kind of shun you and they call you names, they don't, it's tough. And I was talking to a sister too who just came back from being with her family, and she's like, oh, I had the best time. And she feels real connected to her kids. And I'm telling you, it is a blessing to have adult children that you can relate to, who are not cursing you, because these children can be the death of you. You know that, right? Um, like these two teenagers the other day, was it a week or two ago, that went and killed a bunch of their families because they told them they could not date because they were related. And so much evil is taking over people's mind. This guy just unalive his 4 or 5 children, him and his wife. This is insane. There's a lot of insanity going around. Okay. So just because somebody comes here doesn't mean they're not struggling. Okay. So that's why you have to give them grace, that if they're not responding to you in the way that you expect. Who was it I was talking to about yesterday in the here during the she said, I find an excuse for them. And I started doing that maybe a couple of decades ago. I said, when somebody does something to me, that's how I manage it. I automatically, in my mind, this is not true or untrue. I'm just saying, well, maybe she's going through something. Maybe. Because me framing her behavior with something must have happened it makes me separate the action from me. So she did not do it to me. She's acting out of whatever is going on with her, real or imagined. That was my way of dealing with it. That way, I am able in my mind to say, no worries, sis. I get it. And I release you. So don't think that that affects me. We call that a coping mechanism. This is your way of dealing with it so you can shield yourself from the effect of whatever they did say. So, first of all, if they say something about you, it's like, it's not you. I mean, I'm able to rub it off. Some things hurt. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt you, right? But you're not going to embrace it and say, oh my God, she said this about me. No. How could you not want to be my friend? Because she's free to choose. She may not like my haircut. She may not like the way I speak, my accent. You know what I'm saying? You can't force people to be with you. That's why I said you say, next, go to the next one. Don't allow the rejection to make you go in and say, oh, I guess I'm just going to be alone. I'm not going to be dealing with people. No, sis, you're doing yourself a disservice if you do that, and you're going to miss out. I test the waters, and if they don't want to be with me, I said next, and I move on. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, did I miss all those? I want to speak Spanish. Okay, yes. Well, I do speak some Spanish. Well, I speak and then I teach some Spanish online. So if you have more information, just send me a text. Clickish, yeah. There are some clicks, yeah. And I'm like, sometimes I use the word that says I acknowledge. An acknowledgement doesn't require my acceptance. I can say, oh, like when my kids say, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm like, oh, okay. Usually it's something that I'm like, but they're grown. So I acknowledge, oh, all right. I'm not being judgmental. And I always tell people, I don't have to have an opinion. You do you, sis. I see. But it's not for or against. No, I'm neutral. People live their lives. I don't have to have an opinion. No. I know how to pivot with no hurt feeling. Good for you. That's being grown, right, Sharon? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know of any community partnerships that offer water aerobics looking for wellness activities for adults? There are a couple of places that, no, those are swimming. I know one sister who goes to a hotel locally to do water aerobics for her knees and for arthritis. Yes. Yes. So ask me and I'll give you the information. You definitely need to read body language. I'm really good at reading body language, really good. So you need to practice that. And again, don't be so involved in it. Just acknowledge it. But what if they turn around and become your best friend? You're like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Allow yourself to be wrong sometimes, right? Yeah. Because sometimes we're kind of a little super sensitive about things, I think, depending on what's going on in your own life. You're not a tree, right, sis? You hear me say that a lot. And I tell somebody the last couple of weeks, maybe this week was better, but last week I was crying a lot. I was so overwhelmed with all the bad news and the whole things, happening. Well, I know I'm grown. I know I got nothing to do with it. I know that. But it doesn't keep me from feeling, for grieving, for things that are going on, right? But in grown up fashion, I have to be able to get to a point to say, okay, Maggie, you need to kind of take a step back. You can't fix it, and you can't take it all on all the time. Then I'm going to get into that deep hole, and sometimes it's hard to climb out of it. So that's when you have to be vigilant in your own mind to say, danger zone, pull back, sis. Go cook something, put some music on, Go for a walk. Self care, right? Uh, Swa was so welcoming. Thank you for being the impetus for kindness. Oh, you're so you're so welcome, Sharon. I mean, I don't know how to be any other way. I told you, I learned how to host people from my mom because my home when I was growing up was always full of people, and my mother always cooked for like it was like three of us in the house. She always cooked a lot. And the reason she did is because I would look, I'm from the second floor, and I was like, oh, is Mrs. So and so home? And they come in looking for a plate, and everybody got a plate. That's what my mother did. That's what she did. And it was part of who she was. And that's kind of part of who I am. I like to feed people. And that's just, and I don't see it as drudgery. I don't see it as like this morning, I went to bed. I was tired, of course. And my class, Greta, gave me the day off. So I didn't have a class. So I stayed in bed till about 11 or so. But then it was like, okay, I need to clean this house because I wasn't going to be able to relax until I did. Then I did that. I bleached my house. And now it's like, oh, it's so nice and clean. So I'm happy again. I'm talking to y'all and then ready to do it again, right? Dina Crafts. I just found Maggie, but I agree. I love her no nonsense approach. Oh, thank you. I'm kind of crazy sometimes, I guess. Yeah. I am a sister who will be there for my sisters. Good for you, sis. I mean, I just wish we could get to a point where we can. I'm looking for a developer who would agree to build something where we could be together. That is so far elusive. And in fact, one sister who was living in an area where a bunch of sisters are together, she's like, "Yeah, this is like the Golden Girls. This is we are there for each other." And I'm like, "That's what you want. You don't have your adult children here. You want somebody who's gonna call your daughter and say, well, your mom, this happened, but we're here watching over her. So if you want to come, but we got her." That's what we want. Because we don't want you to have to rush back over there because there is nobody to take care of you. And when we say take care, we say it loosely. We're not going to be hand and foot taking care of you, but we're going to help you organize where you can get the support you need. All right? That's what we need to clarify. Um, oh, whew. AI is a mess. We never know what kind of stress. That's it. And as I said, some of us are suffering the ills that was done to us, right? There are certain things that have happened to us as women, as girls, that you're going to struggle with for the rest of your life. What you need to do is acknowledge it, own it, deal with it, and think about it as a daily walk. You may wake up, like I said last week, I was like, oh, I'm having a moment. Why am I so sad about the state of affairs? And then I have to say, well, this world has always been wicked. Whenever I look and I said, I think evil is winning. Whereas before I used to say, it's a yin and yang, you have the good. But now we don't see that much good because evil is so prevalent. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of snap out of it and say, but we are given another day in this crazy world. What are we going to do with it? And it's a choice. Don't take it personally. Thank you, Matia. How is accessing the mental health practitioners here? Ooh. I know there are some sisters, some expats who are mental health counselors online, remotely, right? So you can access there. And you still have access to what do I call? They have a couple of companies. I remember I kind of interviewed with one, uh, not mini me, but they have some online. services that you can access from here, right? Um, I know I heard that they have a psychiatric hospital. I didn't even think that we had that here, but they do, where some people may need to be stabilized. Remember, in the States, when they Baker Act someone, it's like they forcefully put you in a place where they can stabilize your mental health, maybe regulate your medication. Because a lot of time people just don't take their medication. They feel a certain way that if I'm taking an antidepressant, that's something shameful, I'm sick, or I'm no. A lot of things happen because there's an imbalance in your brain of the good hormone. So a lot of the medication just, balance things out. So when you decide you don't take your medication, that's when you fall off the cliff, right? So I have not seen a lot of ads. In Panama, a lot of ads for services you're going to see on Instagram. So if you don't like Instagram, you want an account just so that you can see what's available. They will respond via WhatsApp, but they would put an ad in on Instagram. And I have not seen mental health, um, ads. So I would say, but I know there is another sister who's a psychologist who's working here. She's still working. So those would still be online. I think if I were new in town, that's what I would do. I would access, don't limit yourself to Panama. I'm understanding the crying incidents. Yes. Oh, I go through that occasionally as well. I text or call someone and it seems to help. Yes. Yes. We are human beings, and then just moving around, leaving everything. There's a grief process. The grief process is not something that comes and then it's out, over in a day or two. No, it's a process. You have all the steps to go through. Remember, denial, anger, and bargaining, and all that. You go through all that. When you leave your home, you're gonna grieve. Don't think that, oh, I'm just so happy and relieved. Oh, it's gonna hit you. You're gonna be on such a high, and then one day you wake up, it's like, phew, it's like, what the hell happened? I was so happy yesterday. Yes. Like the sister said, she's getting ready to come. She's getting rid of stuff. I told people that was the hardest thing for me, watching people walk away with my things that I had carefully picked for my home. I was grieving my table, and you say, oh, Maggie, that's kind of ridiculous. No, it's not. I am human. I love that thing. So I'm grieving it. And then, yes, you in the new apartment, everything is new and fresh and smells good. Oh, you're so happy. But you're going to have some days where it's like, oh my God, I am really alone in this place. People are speaking Spanish around me. I do not understand it. I do not know how things are done here. What if something happens to me in this apartment? I'm all alone. The what ifs will get you sometimes. But expect that. And what are you going to do about it? That's what I said. I start cooking, put some music on. I go for a walk, go to the gym, do something to distract yourself so you can, and then you come back, right? And say, okay, wash your face, go eat something good, pamper yourself, go get a massage, get your nails done. Anything. Self care, sis, okay? Hello, Maggie. I will be in Panama at the end of August for 2 months. 2 months is great. It's a good time. Vivian, oh my God. Hola, sis. I haven't seen her or heard from her in forever. Wonderful. That reminds me, there is a sister who said, oh, we just got here. Can we do coffee? Those are the things that I need to just address them when I see them because then I forget or I saw them. When I was searching doctors' website in Panama, I did see psychologists listed. I need to pull up those websites again. Yeah, I'm sure they have them. It's not that they haven't, but it's not something that is really big here, in Panama, because everybody thinks everybody's happy, and that would be a fallacy, right? But they talk about it in the news about kids, the bullying and the kids and the depression and some suicide. Yeah, I mean, this is a community like any community. So anything you would have anywhere would be here. Um, she loves the co-living concept. Yes, I know that, Carol. We got each other. We just got to talk it out and free ourselves from a friend outside the professional groups. Yes. Better help. That's it. Yes, that's one of them. There is another group. Uh huh. Yeah, better help. It doesn't matter where you are, you can access them because they're online. And I think there's another one. I can't remember the name, but yes. Well, don't assume that they don't speak English. A lot of practitioners are bilingual here in Panama. Hmm. I mean, their staff may not be bilingual, but they are. The doctors are. Yep. But anyway, it takes work to intention. You have to be intentional about it. And as I said, don't get your feelings hurt if someone doesn't respond to you the way you expected them to. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Just go to the next one. And listen, sis, you don't need a big circle. Remember that? You don't need a big circle. You just need a few ladies around you that you can depend on. And that's why that living model that they have in that particular place with all the sisters together, it's great. But realize that you can still be found in your apartment dead. You know that, right? Because people are like, oh, well, we can touch base. We say hello every morning. Yeah, it's nice. But I can say hello to you at 8 o'clock and at 9 o'clock. I have a stroke and I'm in this house and nobody knows. Are you okay with that? I am. And people think that, oh, that only happens when you move abroad. No. As a nurse, I have so many patients that we find days later, right? So are you okay with being found like that? Or do you keep doing everything for them to find you in time so they can revive you and bring you back? Not me. In fact, I pray that something quick happens. I just say, Lord, don't let me be suffering. Like if I break a hip or whatever, and then I can't move, and then I'm in pain. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. But when it's time to go, I have no problem with that. In fact, the sisters said, oh, if we don't see you in the chat, we're going to come check on you. I said, yeah, you can come. Don't walk too fast. They're like, oh, you're crazy, Miss Maggie. I said, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just okay with going whenever. I don't want you to stress and go out of your way to bring me back. Mm-mm, no. I have lived my life and I am okay going whenever. My mother, I prayed for her to go peacefully, and she did. So I'm putting the same prayer out. That will be something fast. She said she wasn't feeling good. We had caregivers taking care of her. They said they took her, give her a bath. She was nice and fresh and powdered, and they laid her down, and she never woke up. And I'm like, how about that? She's going to go to heaven with clean underwear. I know I'm kind of crazy like that. Remember, your mom always said, make sure you have, we took a shower, when I was growing up, we powdered, you powdered here and you powdered all the creases. And so she was powdered up. So, and then she just went to sleep. I'm like, oh, thank God. Could you please do that for me? I would love it. Yes. Yeah, you gotta make sure you have clean underwear. When they find you here by yourself, That is important, or your mom's going to be rolling in her grave. Oh my God. We need to just relax. This world is too crazy. Take people the way they are. Let some of them go. Let them go. People who want to leave you, let them go. I think it's C.D. Jake who said that. If they want to go, let them go. I do not hang on to people who don't want to hang around me. Mm-mm. You don't have to like me. I don't hate you, but I'm good if you're not in my circle. And there are some people who reveal themselves to you by either what they say to you to your face, or about you, or their actions towards you. Okay, okay. Live and let live. Okay? Easy does it. I don't stress over people. I would stress about hearing that my kids, something happens to them. But to stress over somebody saying about me, I'm like, okay, okay, no biggie, not a problem. Yep. I own a business, and I remember there are some nurses. There were like one or two nurses who left. They said some pretty awful things to me, and I looked them at, like, didn't say a thing. And guess what? They circled back maybe a year or two later. Oh, Miss Maggie, we're so sorry. I'm like, okay. I didn't take it too hard, sis. I moved on, and I hope you can too. It wasn't even an action of forgive me. I never, not, what I'm saying? It wasn't an issue. So I think it's just give you such freedom. But understanding the importance of creating community, and that not everybody you thought was going to be in your community will be in your community. My life has been shaped with, I'm always, and it's a bad habit I have, I'm always one step ahead of what is happening. When I see something coming, and I'm like, okay, because I'm a problem solver, and I'm like, okay, I could do this, that, if this happened, come I was expecting, but by experience, I know anything that I have framed in my mind, that's not gonna happen the way I think about it. Something totally off the wall usually happens, usually for good. But I'm like, "Ah, I never saw that coming." So that surprise, I always love that surprise. It's like, wow, okay, okay. So you think that would tell me next time to just wait and see? No, I'm always jumping ahead saying, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. I guess that's just the way my brain's wired. Yes. 99. Wow, Carol, you have a lot of years to look forward to. Wow. She was also bathed. Oh, isn't that wonderful though to know they're gonna see St. Peter clean? Oh, I felt so happy. But during her funeral, I was just a hot mess. But you still grieve, right? But knowing that it's the normal part of the process, that you cry, and I wasn't falling over, people having to hold me like I said, no. But that's why yesterday I said that. I said, when I die, like, I'm gonna be cremated, I don't care what you do with those ashes. You could do whatever you want with it, but don't drag me around putting me in little lockets and a piece and whatever you want. I don't need a funeral. I don't want people coming and looking at me and then saying, "Oh, they do a good job with the makeup." No, no. And then just have a party like we did yesterday. Have a party, libation, eat, and have fun on me. A send off. Don't call it a memorial, sir. I don't memorialize. You don't have to remember me. The next day, you can forget about me. But just have fun. I don't think anybody who passes out nowadays should have a funeral, because why should we cry about? It's kind of relief to me. Yeah. And I'm not depressed. But one thing I always said, I think maybe 10, 20 years ago, I realized life is so fleeting. And I said, even to the kids, I said, do not hang on to anything too tightly, whether it's your mate, your children, your career, a job, your house, your friend, because it can be taken like poof. So the tighter you hang on to it, the harder it's going to be for you to get over it. But when you lose it, you grieve, but you know you're going to get over that hump. But if you like, oh, and it's like, oh, I can imagine life without this person or whatever. And I said to my kids, I said, God has lent you to me for a time. And I pour everything I have in you. The rest is up to you. As you become an adult, whatever decision you make, it's your own. You own it. My job is done. That doesn't mean I don't pray for you or counsel you or assist you. No, right? But I don't hang on too tight because everything is in French éphémère, right? It now you see it, now you don't. So don't hang on to anything. Friendships, marriage, relationships. You know, some women get cheated on and then they're all messed up for the rest of their lives. Come on. Yeah. Mm-mm. Expect that. When you expect that, when it happens, you're like, oh, wow, oof, that hurts. But you know you're going to get over it. Right? Mm-hmm. 95. Wow, Auntie. Celebration of life party. That's what I want. With all the good food that I like. Dancing in your head. Yes. Enjoy now and then. Still a hot mess. Oh, ooh. Only child. Oof, that's tough. That's tough. You know, I have an uncle I grew up with. My parents were divorced, and my uncle, he is the baby of my grandparents. He became my father figure, and he lived with us. My mother passed, you know, after a while I was okay, but his death was sudden, and oh, I grieved for that man for a long time. You know, when every time, you know, I think for years after he was there, every time I talk about him, I'll be bawling because he was such a good human, you know, and you're like, why him? Why not him? There's no answer. So we grieve differently. Yeah. But I have learned to not hang on to anything too tightly. That's my coping mechanism. It doesn't have to be yours. I'm just saying, realize the brevity of life. You know, when somebody drops dead and it's like, oh my God, why are we so shocked? It is a sign one for men wants to die, and we don't know when that's gonna be. So you should live like this guy. He was I don't know if he was a pastor or not, but he used to have like a little program in the morning, you know, to set the day off. I think I did that for a little while. But he always ended his program with this prayer: Lord, help me to live each day in the light of eternity. That means each day expecting that it's going to be your last. So, whatever you need to do on that day, do it. If it's to eat the ice cream, you know, go to the beach, take the trip, do it. Go hang out with your kids, your grandkids, do it. Call someone and say, well, you know, I'm sorry. If everything, are we good? Do it. Don't have regrets because you don't know when that bell is going to ring and it's your time to go. Because sometimes people just drop dead, not because they were unhealthy or blah, blah, blah. Mm-mm. When I watched this little 30-year-old woman battling lung cancer, she was a fitness guru and vegan, and she had two little beautiful kids, and out of the blue she got the diagnosis. She fought because she didn't want to leave her family. And I remember the day, you know, you start following people on Facebook or YouTube, and the day she came to the camera and she's like, I'm dying, the doctor said there's nothing else I can do. The sense of panic in this young woman's eye, she had done the chemo and she was in her hair and she was like, and the fact that she fought so hard, had engaged, enrolled in so many research studies because she was so hopeful that she could see her kids, grow up. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. And I follow some. I don't follow. I watch some of these videos. Like this young girl, I talk about her all the time, who was 28 when she was diagnosed with rectal cancer. She's been fighting ever since. She's still alive. But boy, oh boy, every day this girl is fighting something. You don't know how strong you are until you're going through things. But at the same time, and I've seen some of them to say, this one came today. She said, I've exhausted all my options. I'm on hospice care. And she's like very young too. Can't explain those things. Why her? Why not me? I don't know. So there is a certain amount of peace that comes with knowing that you don't have the answers and that you you don't know when your time is. You don't know the time limit, the time that was assigned to you. You don't know. So you just every day you say, thank you for another opportunity. And I used to say, go be a good human, be a good person. Don't be wretched like some of the others we see, throwing their weight around, thinking they're all powerful. And I'm like, really? What are you going to do with all the billions? And then, you say, I can't believe they're doing that. I can, because they're just wretched. And people who don't understand the value of other human beings, how can you reason with someone like that? You can't. I don't waste my breath on people or my energy. I'm trying to save my mental health to not just, you know, go over the deep hole off the cliff, just watching them. So I got my personal struggles that I do daily. Gotta reframe my mind, knowing that my time could be the next hour. I don't know. Life is fleeting. Make every moment count. Live every day in the life of eternity. Like your time is next minute. You know how they say, what would you do if you knew you only had a week left? I don't know what kind of stupid question is that. If you want to take the trip, take it now. Don't wait. Whatever you need to do it now. That's why sometimes I go to the movies, I get the popcorn. I know I shouldn't, but I don't want to die saying I should have had the popcorn. I'm going to have the popcorn. If I want some ice cream, I'm going to have it. Yes. I don't want anybody coming to me and saying, oh my God, you can have a piece of butter. Oh, you're having milk. Oh, you're having cheese. Mm-mm. I don't allow anybody or anything to put that kind of restriction on me. No, no. I want to treat my body right, but once in a while, enjoying something, that's a privilege that God has given you. Don't overdo it. Don't, what is it, the word that they use? Don't binge, right? But have the steak. Have whatever it is you want once in a while. Don't deprive yourself. And don't listen to all these doctors saying, this and this and that. I take that thing, I'm telling you. I went to the doctor the other day. She's like, oh, you're taking your blood pressure medication? I said my pressure was fine at home. Here in your office, it's a little bit elevated. So don't mess with me thinking you're going to tell me to take this, that. I was feeling a little dizzy a couple of days ago. I said, well, I bet you my pressure is low. Yes, it was. 110/70. I'm never that low. So I go. So the doctors sometimes they over medicate people. So I mean, I know now. Okay, I'm not saying don't follow your doctor's advice, but you're gonna have to balance it. Sometimes they go a little crazy, like this little 76-year-old lady. The doctor keep putting her on 2, 3 blood pressure medication because they were chasing the 110 over whatever. Poor little lady dropped because her pressure was so low, broke her hip, and died from that, not the blood pressure. I'm like, be careful. Be careful. Oh my God. Every now and then, still a hot mess. Okay, I said that. Maria, hola, ¿cómo estás? What is the topic for today, Maria? We were talking about the importance of building community, but you know me, I'm all over the place. I am an only child too. Okay. I really grieved and had to grow up in ways marriage and children would have done for me. Oh, I have need. Oh, okay. You know, sis, some people who've never gotten married, and then we used to call them spinster, right? And I'm like, I don't know, you're not missing anything out, sis. You, you didn't miss out. And children, not everybody should have children. You see what these children are doing to people right now? Girl, I say, and I said that forever. I say having children, raising children is like playing the lotto. You can win, but your chances of winning may not be so great because I've seen some rotten children with very good parents, and we've seen some rotten parents with some children somehow they came out okay. So it's like playing the Russian roulette. So you pour into your children. Some people do not have the skills to raise kids. The idea of living every way you want in front of these children and tell them, do as I say, not as I do, that doesn't work. All right? Because the environment has a lot to do with the kids. And if you ever study psychology, you know, the very first few months of a baby's life and the closeness to parent, that's why they put the babies on the mom skin to skin. That's important for human being. You could do it with a chick. You could do it with a monkey, whatever. That bond, that closeness is important to frame the kids, the baby, so they feel safe. If you take all that away from that child, you mess that child up. So when people start watching kids from the way they're growing up, you're like, ding, 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 alarm bells, right? Kids who are violent. But if they're raised in a violent home, that's what they're going to do. Where there was beating, there was alcohol, there was drugs. What do you see? They repeat the same thing. So a lot of times, not having children is kind of, you got shielded from that, sis. So society tells us that we need to grieve. You know, if you didn't have a ring or you didn't get married, and you know, you on this side now, you're like, boy, oh boy, they did a number on your psyche. And I say now that if I were to go back to my 20-year-old self, I probably would not get married. Mm-mm. And I did it only one time, and that was it for me. Mm-mm. No mas. So, not having children, it's not the end of the world. Okay? You can still instill in some other kids. You can still be a good human to your nieces, nephews, or whatever. But society, right, put that pressure on you, make you feel like you're just half a human, you're half a woman. I don't know how you're feeling about it right now, sis, but it's not that bad. Thanks for sharing your dinner party. The spread of food was fantastic. Thank you. The ratatouille was good. Yes, I mean, you know, it's so healthy. They loved it. Dogs are great companions. I agree. Uh, no fighting with the sibling. You know, my mom had three of us. I was the oldest, and I had my middle sister and then my baby brother. I was blessed that as mom started getting older, and I kept saying, "All right, y'all, we need to have a gathering to see," because we were like in different states, part of the country. We need to have a call to talk about the not what if, but when. What are we going to do? And we did that. We had the conference call and we hashed it out. But blessed that I am, my siblings like, sis, what are we gonna do? Because I'm the oldest, of course, and I have the medical knowledge because we're thinking if this happened, that happens, what are the, you know, what's gonna do? And we came up with a plan. on how we were going to handle mom. And we did that. And we divided up the financial responsibilities. We said, this month you do this month, and we did it like clockwork. There was no arguing, and when mom, like I said, my brother called me and said, Mom is gone. It was like, oh my God. And we did the funeral. I mean, it was such a beautiful thing. I am thankful every day because as a nurse, I can tell you, sometimes I stand there and I watch these people go at it and the poor patients in the middle, and it's like bullets flying. And usually it's one person, they put all the responsibility on one sibling, and the others are like MIA. And I'll have patients, open heart surgery, 85-year-old little lady, ready to go home. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, who do you want me to call? Oh, no, my children, one's in California, that one's over there. No children. Retired, moved to Florida when they were like 65. Now she's 85. Things have changed. That's why I keep telling people, we're in our 60s, we're still kicking. But you start going in the 70s and 80s, like a lot of us are expected, hopefully, to get to that point. It doesn't matter how healthy you are, you might need some help. Your knees are acting up and you've had a couple of falls or whatever. So we asked the lady, she's like, she had nobody. I said, okay. Okay, how about a neighbor? Can somebody come check on you? No, she said, I don't talk to them. And I'm like, no. That might be the same thing here. If you're living abroad, and then I'm like, are there any sisters we can call for you? And you say, I don't have any friends. Now that's a problem. That's a problem. And again, you don't have to be friend when you're co-living together, but can you call this person and say, come see about you? You have to have somebody, right? So that's what we're trying to do over here. But I was so blessed with my siblings to this day. Be thankful for what you have and the people who mean you well now. Yes, last night we had a blackout in my neighborhood. Oh, Maria, I'm so sorry. It was caused by a car accident. Wow, they hit a pole? I was glad my brother was with me. Oh, that is so cool. Very nice. Get a teddy bear. You talking about the dog? You're so sorry. Oh, yes. Well, I had a cute little dog when I moved to Panama. I found her a great home. And I talk about how I found the person. It was like divine intervention. The timing was perfect. And I mentioned that in a video, and this person responded, oh my God, I cannot believe you left your pet. Hi, Geraldine, ¿cómo estás? Um, I cannot believe you left your pet. You're a horrible human being. I'm so glad you left the country. And I'm like, well, thank you for your comment. And as much as I love that dog, I don't want a pet here. I know Crystal, she said, I can't imagine my life without my dog because she grew up with dog. I mean, it was on and off with me. And I think I was a child when I had a dog and he got hit by a car and I watched him suffer and die. And I think that did something to me. And I was like, I've had a lot of cats, but I don't want a pet right now. But that's just me, you know? Um, and like Carol said, co-living is the thing people are talking about now, in terms of growing old and finding a housemate. Yep, you keep a blood pressure monitor? Yes, I have one. No, I came with it, Carol. You can order it from Amazon. I finally got my Amazon order. This is my first time since I've been here. And it was about a week coming. Of course, you got the Amazon. I did a video about that, the Amazon charge, because I don't have Prime and I stopped my Prime. And then here they charged me $2.50 per pound. It was a 3 pound item, so I paid $7.50. And they delivered it to my building. They didn't charge me extra. So yeah, I do have blood pressure monitor. So when the doctor said your blood pressure was like 140 something, and then I'm like, well, it was 120 at home, so I'm gonna go by that one. I'm not a good patient because when they try to do all this stuff, she said, "You don't want this." I'm like, "Nope." "You don't want to check that?" "Nope, I don't." And they tell me, "You want me? Don't you want to have a PET scan so you could see if anything is growing in your body?" No. It's a 68-year-old body. Something is bound to be brewing. I don't want to know. If it doesn't bother me, I don't bother it. Leave me alone. That's my thing. And they look at him like, yeah, no. I am the boss of me. You don't tell me what you want me to do. Just all this stuff. You want to write me prescription for this and that. I wasn't, there is a place, they sell medical, Hogar y Salud, and I'm going to write it in the chat. They sell medical equipment that you may find a blood pressure monitor there. Hogar y Salud. You in San Francisco, they have one right there on via Israel. So if somebody is looking for like a wheelchair, a hospital bed, and stuff like that, and usually in those places they'll have blood pressure monitors too. I was on the phone with my sister in Florida and my friend in Westchester. I live in Westchester County, so find community where you are. Yes, yes. I don't grieve not having married or having children. I'm happy and love my own company. Good for you. Having a community is very important. I mean, I've seen people say, they have like a community of 10, travel together or whatever. That's great. I mean, if you can get along and travel together, I think those are great. But if you don't have that and you have one or two, that's good too. Just be happy with what you have. I love exploring this life abroad single. Yeah, I love to travel solo. I mean, I don't make any excuses for it. I like being able to make my own decision and go where I want without saying, "Do you want to go here? You want to go there?" I love to travel alone. The police did not want anyone on the street because it was pitch black outside. Also, oh yeah. I remember the big blackout in New York when I was in New York. Ooh, that was a no bueno. There was a lot of vandalism and people, what do they call that? When they go into the store, break the windows and take things. It's just no bueno. Mm-mm. Yeah. I don't go out at night here, period. Right? So if there was a blackout, definitely I'd want to stay home. Absolutely. Balancing all things. Yes, Auntie. I grieve losing my mother. She loved me so much. Oh, of course she did. Oh, yeah. Mothers are special, and you only have one. Remember that, right? uh, yes, it was a blessing, Compendium. Yes, I realized that. And again, as a healthcare provider, I know my situation was unique. That it's not the norm. Today's my son's 35th birthday. Oh, happy birthday. My ex husband and I were very normal from most perspectives, but our son is not in our tribe. Oh, I think it's really sad when you have those frictions in family. In our family, my siblings and I were cool. But some cousins we grew up with now we haven't communicated with them, and I know my brother is the peacekeeper. He's always reaching out. Me, I'm like, okay, a couple of times you don't make contact, I'm out. But that happens, seasons of life, people move and they change, and okay, just like everything, right? Um, but to have your children, I wouldn't say I was a strain. I think I was a little bit strained with my oldest at a point. Um, there were some old situation interactions that were not positive, and for the longest time. And then getting into that frame of mind, I'm like, I don't want to live with regrets and I think we went to a family reunion maybe 3 years ago. And I cornered him and I said, and he showed up, which was, I was so surprised because I wasn't expecting. And I cornered him. I said, we need to have a talk. Whatever it is that's going on, let's hash it out because I don't want to continue with this. And whatever. I mean, he was shocked. He didn't think I was going to kind of come out. I'm like, yeah. I mean, this is not normal mother-son relationship. Whatever it is, whatever you holding that's causing you to act like that, let's hash it out. And he said some things, and I was like, wow, I was shocked because sometimes you think you are totally blameless, but even in any relationships, I tell people when I counsel, I said, you may not have intended something to be hurtful. But if the person said it hurts, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what your intention was in the action or the words. If the person got hurt by it, you need to deal with it, ask for forgiveness, and say, I apologize, I'm sorry. And I did that. I'm the parent. I said, well, I'm so sorry you felt that way about this action I did. This is where I was coming from. I apologize. Right? I could say, well, I'm the parent. Mm-mm. I don't want to be, when they're looking at my ashes, and still cursing me. I didn't want that. So we hashed it out, and then we have more of a cordial relationship now. Where before it was dead silence. And then I may never be as close to him as I am to my daughter. And you have to understand that. You may not have the same relationship with siblings or your children. It's not the same because they're all different individuals. So you have to come to that middle ground where everything is out in the open. Whoever needs to apologize, if you need to make amends, how you do it. And then, right, you try to keep the communication going because I don't want to have that on my conscience that I'm still sitting here in my self-righteous self and say, well, I didn't do anything wrong, so why is she acting up? It doesn't matter. That's a hard thing for some people. But I'm the parent, I'm grown, and I'll take you out. That doesn't work with adults. So whatever it is, and I have one relationship. I have a friend that was to be a really good friend, and I need to work on that because I don't want to die with regrets. I don't want to die knowing that I could have had a good relationship. Again, it could be after the hurt, you never go back to the previous, right? But you need to get to a point where you can communicate and that there is not that anger or whatever those feelings were, right? So I did. Don't feel too proud to say you're sorry if it means restoring the relationship. That's most important. So I would say do what you can to mend the relationship. I heard Oprah had some people, Oprah, she's always making money. Now she's got this, what does she call it? This vlog or whatever she's doing, interviewing people. That's her forte. She's real good at it. And she had a session where they had children who have cut ties with their parents. I don't want to sit here in judgment of anybody, but I think it's tough to cut ties with the people who give you life. Now, granted, there are some people who are toxic, right? And you have to cut them off. I get that. If it's abusive and you've tried your best and it's still dangerous or whatever, I get it. But if it's just not talking because something was said or whatever, try to clear the air if you can. Because I think if you make the first move and you try to repair it, it will give you a sense of peace knowing that you've tried. You've done what you can. It's like when you forgive someone, right? You've heard that. When you forgive someone for something they've done to you, and I think I gave the example of the woman who had been trafficked. When you forgive someone, whether it's a parent or somebody, like people killing, doing a crime, and then when I sit there and I see the parents saying, "Well, I forgive you," let me tell you, I have a hard time because I get so aggrieved when something is done to children, for people who are defenseless. I'd have to work on myself on that. But if somebody kills your child and somebody has the fortitude to look at that person and say, "I forgive you," I don't know that I could. I'm telling you. But respect for that person to be able to say that. And hopefully they mean it, right? So I just said, make the effort, right? It's not humbling yourself. You're trying to heal yourself to say, "I forgive you. Whatever it is that you did, I release it and I release you." Because you've heard that. When you forgive, it's for you to be able to free yourself from the weight of the hurt and holding it in your righteous indignation. They did this to me, they hurt me, yes, but it's not going to do any good to carry it. And I think it would be so hard I look at my kids. I mean, two of them, we're not that close, but we're not estranged either, right? So the relationship with each of your kids, especially if you have one, yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, seriously. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I know the answer. All I'm saying is try to make a move and see if you can uh, get to a point, not maybe not repair the relationship, but just, people have grandkids that they can't see. And I'm like, oof, that would be hard. I don't have any grandchildren, but that would be hard. Yes. Unfortunately, there are some adults who are not acting like adults. Yes. The old folks who still try to control you, control your life. Yeah, I get it. You need barriers. You need, not barriers, what do you call that? You want to set boundaries, not barriers, boundaries. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's a tough one. I am talking about get a teddy bear instead of a husband. Greta says, the sister said, Miss Maggie, don't you feel that you miss somebody to hug when it's cold? First of all, I'm in Panama. It doesn't get cold, so I'm good. But if I were to get cold, uh, Greta said, no, this person said, I get a long pillow and then I hug that. And I'm good. Ooh, some man's going to be upset if I said that. Sorry, brother. Ah, what it says home and health. I said, hogar y salud. Oh, I guess that is it. It translates to English, but it says hogar y salud. Oh my God. I didn't see that. It translated it. Hogar y salud. Do not translate for me automatically. What is wrong with you? Greta, you want Neem to layer up because of that teddy bear. Nope. Oh my God, you're so funny. 1977, I remember that blackout. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Hold again. Hola again, Maria. Yes. Ah. Sometimes, Maggie, greed changes people. I agree, especially living in the US. It could be even younger toxic siblings. Here, speaking from experience, not just greed, but remember, I was telling you they had this thing in the news. I think the girl was 15 and the boy was 6 and something like that. And they went around and they killed the parents, the aunties, or whatever, because they said the adults did not agree to their relationship because they were cousins. And this is how they found in their sick mind to eliminate the opposition. And they just killed all their family members like that. Like I said, I feel like evil is winning in this crazy world. It's crazy. You stepping all on my toes, Miss Maggie. I'm so sorry, honey. You can pray for these siblings or relatives, but keep them at a distance to maintain. I get it, sis. I really get it. I really get it. And I said that, because there are some people who are so toxic. Yeah. But it's like when you see the video when they do like an intervention, sometimes you kind of you try to not confront people, but just kind of clear the air. And it may or may not result in anything. You just take solace in the effort that you made the effort, right? They may not see it as such because, again, there's some really mean spirited people and children. You give birth to these kids and they treat you like, you know what? That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. That would be really hard for me. Mm-hmm. Um, did it change it to home health and home and health again? Oh, right, never mind. Autocorrect, yes. It is Hogar y Salud. Oh my God, I couldn't hear about that one. You didn't hear about that one. Which one? God bless you. I love your spirit. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. But anyway, ladies, we're all over the place, but we were really wanting to talk about how important it is to create community, to try to create community when you're abroad. And remember, it's a big old world out there. If it doesn't work with one person, next, go on to the next. Plenty of fish in the sea. Plenty of fish in the sea. And get yourself some Panamanian friends, some local friends. It's good to have local friends to explain things to you. Just like when I posted my first sancocho, a soup, and then this Panamanian guy said, Se ve rico, Maggie. He said, it looks really good, Maggie, but sancocho only has chicken, oregano, ñame, and culantro. He said nothing else. I had carrots and potatoes. He said, He said, whatever else you add to it, you can call it soup, but it's not our soup. I'm like, oh, gracias. He set me straight, right? So it's good to know these things. God bless you. Yes, thank you. But it's important. Now, I know one sister told me about one of her friends who died in a hospital here. We've had a couple of people who had been found in their apartment after days. And like I told you, I don't mind if that happens to me. If it's like a stroke or a heart attack, I don't mind at all. If I pass out, I would welcome dying in that particular way. But I just don't want to be, days laying around in pain. That would be a no bueno. But you do the best you can. You stay connected, but you can't predict how it's going to happen, unfortunately. Yep. But anyway, ladies, anybody else has any other questions? Let's see. It is August now. Tomorrow we're going to the ballet. There's a ballet coming into town from Cuba, of all places. We're going to see Swan Lake is going to be one of the pieces that they play. It's been a while since I've been to the ballet. I also have not been to the opera here. I've been to a couple of dance stuff. I've been to a what do they call that? A musical by one of the very popular Panamanian creators, Ruben Blades. And in Panama, we have really beautiful theaters, and we have some nice museums as well. A lot of things revolve around the Pollera. This weekend, we have a fair at one of the convention centers. We have two in the city. It's artisanal, which is like people from the interior, all the indigenous groups and other artists, and they come together And then it's like it started on Thursday. It's like a whole weekend of partying and food, and it's just an amazing thing to go to. But I don't think I'm going to be able to attend. So tomorrow is the last day. Um, but I choose to go to the ballet instead because I feel like the cultural things. Once you've been here a little while, you've done them, then you've done them. But I think anybody who is new should attend some of these events. Puerto Rico sancocho has root vegetables in it. Yep, and I'm sure they do the different in the Puerto Rico one. Oh no, is it the one from Dominican Republic? There is one that has 7 types of meat in it, and that would not be the one from Panama. Panama is pollo. If you put meat in it, it's not sancocho. That's what I was told. Yes, we're gonna go to the ballet tomorrow. Ballet. I wish there were community like the Exodus Summit when I was younger. I would have been traveling nonstop. When you are older, you have to do more planning. Yes. Well, the apparently Rashida and Stephanie Perry, who are the co-founders, they're having an international Exodus International Day. I think it's going to be September the 5th. So they're gonna have their meetup in not Cartagena. What's the other one in Colombia? Another city in Colombia. I can't remember. And then everybody who is scattered around can have their own little gathering. They're gonna have one here in Panama. It's gonna be at Adventica, the restaurant. Somebody had sent me and said, if I wanted to come, but I don't think I've kept up with her, so I don't know if I can show up or not. But I know that Rashida Dow was in town this week with Charlotte Van Horn. So I like to travel, but now I don't like to fly. I don't like planes. So I think I'm revising my desire to travel. I said I'm gonna stay in this region for a while. I was thinking of doing an Asian tour, but hearing for some of the experiences of people in those places, and I'm like, I don't want to travel that far and be treated badly. I don't want that. So I'm keeping my money where I can just. So I'm changing my trajectory and where I enjoy. I don't need to go places where I'm not wanted. No. I'm retiring to Sierra Vista, Arizona. Okay. Does that count as an expat? Oh, sis. I don't know that would count. That's not abroad. You're not abroad. You're still in country. Uh, you went. It is amazing. You went where, sis? Oh, to the ballet. When I was in the States, I used to be a ticket holder, season ticket holder for the local symphony and things like that. Yeah, I'm into the arts like that. Did you do a sancocho on the live yet? Yes. No, not Bogota. They're gonna have like a flower festival. Medellin, not Medellin. No, it's not Medellin either. It's a long name. What is it? I can't think of the name. But anyway, I think that's where Shadow Van Horn takes her people. It's not Cartagena, but anyway, they're having a flower festival there. Yes, ma'am. Would you travel to Uruguay? No. Arts festival, yes. Well, Spoiled Woman, if you in town, so try to make it tomorrow. It's gonna be at Atlapa Convention Center, and they usually start in the morning, and then you can stay the whole day. So they have dances, they have all the pollera thing. You can buy wear. Usually they have clothing from Africa. There's a sister here from Rwanda. She always brings, attire. And one of the sisters who was here wants to get like one of those pretty shirts that they have, the embroidered shirts. I bought my hat. The hat that I wore yesterday that says Panama, it's not really a Panama hat. Those hats originated in Ecuador, but the Panama hat is like wider and it takes a long time and you pay to get those hats. I think I paid $95 for mine. You can pay up to 150 for a hat. So they have that, and then plenty of food. Oh my God! But listen, none of it is healthy. I'm just telling you. A lot of sancocho, arroz, meat, and what is it that they call chicharron, which is that triple fried pork. Yes, lots of that. Um, did you visit the Hobbit home? Nope, I don't know what that is. Maybe I need to see what it is. I'm glad the Sierra Vista question gave you a good laugh. I'm still going to follow you. Thank you. But you know what? I am thinking that, SWA is not a big thing. Even though I spoke to somebody in Mexico and she's like, well, when you're ready to branch out, I'd like to be your representative because I believe you need to, Exodus Summit is for women of all ages, mostly younger women, right? And then now I think Stephanie Perry is starting to talk to older people. But to know that you have a little group that is committed to just growing older together, I think that's a little bit unique. But I don't think that's going to, in the future, exempt someone who's staying in country, wherever the country is. Maybe it's going to be SWA worldwide or something like that, because we all need that kind of support. And they do have some communities. I know the co-living concept started in the Netherlands, right? But it wasn't for older people. It was just community living, sharing resources. There are some co-living communities in the States where you have they have a mixture of ages. They have some younger families, older families, right? The other day I saw a community, I think I want it's in England, of older women. I wanted to reach out to them where they're living in community, and that was beautiful. And so that's what we're looking for, so people don't die alone, right? That if something happens to you, somebody is going to come and, and look after you, check on you so you don't, feel like dejected or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, so the Sierra Vista thing, I don't think it's something that is totally off limits that we can have a chapter in the US of women who want to grow old together, for example, right? Somebody sent me a message one time and said, do you think a tiny home community would be something that people are interested? I'm like, build it, they'll come because people are looking for community. If you give them a model where they can save money, right? That we don't have to pay $2,000 a month for housing, if you can cut that in half and have a neighbor, like this sister said this week, she said, wouldn't it be nice if we can just walk over to so and so's? Because that's what my vision is, like a community on a dead end street where you have housing, close to each other, and in a big community center we can gather and do things together. That's my vision. But I need somebody with the same vision with money to do it. Yep. Come visit Panama. There are some co-living in Mexico too. Well, yeah. Isn't that lady from Casa Elm? She was on somebody's program and she's doing that. But there was another guy who was showing buildings in, is it in Thailand somewhere? And then a lot of people from Europe are coming there, but it still look like an assisted living or a nursing home with me, like hospital bed, two of them in a room. That is not what I have in mind at all. No, no, they have those homes here, yes, but I don't want that. I want to stay in my little house and have somebody come and see about me and have sisters check on me. That's what I have in my head. But for me to split a room with somebody, what's the difference? Maybe just the cost. If in a hospital bed, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. Nope. I'd rather be one building, garden outside. Yes. but everybody in their own little space, right? My idea is not even in a, I'm looking at like maybe duplexes, like you have houses, like you have in, what do they call those in Brooklyn? The brownstones. You remember the brownstones? But not so elegant with all the steps going up, but just like little houses, one story. We don't want in two stories with these bad knees, right? And then simple, maybe one bedroom, one bath. You know what I'm saying? Very simple. And then you have the community. You can have some visitor housing. So when you have family come, they can stay in those, right? But they don't have to stay with you because you have one bedroom, unless you have like a stuffed bed or pull out bed or whatever, somebody, a family member can stay. But we're not, I'm not looking to sharing a room with somebody. That to me, what's the difference between that and a nursing home? Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I don't want that. But just to be able, let's say you have like a little patio, right? And then you're sitting there in the afternoon, and then because the buildings are, you share walls, and then the person will say, "Hey, how are you?" And then you can lean over and talk to your neighbor. That's what I have in mind. Mm-hmm. Yep. Be able to check on someone. And if it's a building, if we're all in the same building, yeah, you could check on each other. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to be, and it doesn't have to be the same everywhere. It could look different. Like in this particular place here in Panama City, where there is a hotel with housing and a lot of sisters live there. I mean, they're not that close, but you can walk to one building to another. That's close enough. Yeah, it can look different. You can also pay a handyman or cook and housekeeper. Oh, you're always going to have those. And then in that community in England, they have their own little suite with their little porch, and then they share in, landscaping like you would do in a condo. Landscaping, they have a gardener, they have the handyman, they have the housekeeper, right? But they have a big community center where they gather once a week, and then they rotate the duties of cooking. So they have games and all kinds of stuff. That's fun. And then you can partner with like a school. They can come and maybe somebody can teach some piano lessons, or I mean, keep it active. The garden, you can bring kids and do gardening lessons and stuff like that. I'd be in the cooking team, on the cooking team, nothing else. And we can do online dancing. We could do, there's so much you could do just to keep life interesting. And then you can have the doctors come and check on people. And yeah, there are ways you could do it, but you need people with vision who can see that. Like in Costa del Este, they're having a big building, but they said the first two floors gonna be assisted living. And I'm like, well, it sounds great. Probably gonna cost a penny because everything is more expensive over there, but we're trying to lower the cost. So definitely that's not an option for me and my team. But if somebody has the money and they want to go there and have to be waited on in a building like that, adelante. Yep. So we got to really think about how we're going to age away from, because I looked at my house where I was and I looked at it and I said, is this going to be my life for the next 20 years? I could not imagine. You go through the gate, you say hi to the guard, and then you go into your house and you close the door and you're in there all by yourself. I mean, my house wasn't that big, but I was in it alone. I was like, no. I did not want to go old like that. All right, guys, we need to stop. Oh, we did it again. We did the same thing we did before, almost 3 hours. You can have a nurse's station. Well, if you have a nurse's station, it's going to turn into a medical facility. No, nope, we're not going to have that. If the nurses want to come, they need to come from the outside and come in and see you. I feel your apartment now is enough for you to feel comfortable. Yes. But I have two bedroom. I don't need it. I wish I could go down to one. Yeah. It will be. Actually, I feel like I can be in a one bedroom instead of two bedroom. It's wasted space here I'm paying for. Um, but it's still removed from everybody else. So it doesn't meet my vision yet. I have a sister who's on the 42nd floor, but it's not like I'm gonna push an elevator to go check on her if she needed me. And there's another lady who lives down. Um, so this setup here does not meet what we're looking at, right? So a couple of years back, I saw a building that was for sale, and I reached out to my nephew, who's an investor, and I said, "Would you consider buying it, retrofitting it, and then we would, rent it? Because people in our age group, we're the ideal renter because we have, money coming in, and we're gonna pay our bill. You just need to take care of the place." That's what I said. You need investors with vision. You're welcome. Long talk, Auntie. All right, you guys. Oh my God. Only almost 3 hours. Maggie, you got to stop it. So tomorrow we're doing my turkey wings with but of course I didn't go to the store today. Turkey wing with lima beans and whatever else is in the fridge. Throw it together. Yes. There's a little bit of quinoa there, but I got to stay away from that carb. All right, guys. The community is growing. I appreciate you guys. Have a good evening. Here in Panama, there's nothing on TV to watch over the weekend. It is boring. At least during the week, they have the news, and I watch a couple of my novelas. They have one coming on Monday, a new one from Turkey. We get a lot of Turkish dramas here. All right, guys, have a good night. Oh, really? Well, let your nephew talk to me. But you need somebody local though, Auntie, because all the building laws are really you're gonna have. There is a guy who owned. I mean, a corporation that owns a lot of condos, and they build some of this stuff. I need to find a way to get with him and see. Have you thought about that? Because we are here, and we don't want to buy, but we can sign like long-term leases, which is almost like buying. I think sisters are signing 3-year leases now. I wouldn't mind doing a 5-year lease, right? So that way it gives the builder or the owner some security. Okay. Okay. Good for you. Good for you, Clayton. Good for you. We decided for us that we don't want to buy at this point. Yes. All right, guys. Taylor, Lacey, Auntie, Maria, Dana the Craft, Hughes, Greta, Clayton. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. God bless. Bye.